Past Presents, written by Kevin Mongelli. Interior, Edgar's house, laboratory. Kristen is now strapped into the device, which looks like an elaborate barber chair. Edgar enters more data into the keyboard. The head apparatus above her head slowly lowers. Kristen looks up at it apprehensively.
It will be fine. Please look straight ahead.
The device slowly descends over her head.
You're okay, right?
Yeah.
Alexina looks towards Edgar with a gesture, asking if he is ready to proceed. He nods. Edgar enters more data into the keyboard. He then takes the beaker of blood from under one funnel and pours it into the other funnel. He enters more data into the keyboard. Humming is heard inside the head device. Kristen grips the armrests more firmly.
Okay, Kristen, you're now going to feel that pressure on your head like we discussed.
Okay.
We're still okay, right?
Yeah.
Now just relax and think about sitting in a rowboat in the middle of the sea.
Kristen takes a deep breath.
Okay.
Now we'll begin the exam, Kristen. Your brain may begin to process some images as we conduct the psychological part of the exam. Just let them flow freely.
Edgar waves his hands to Dr. Emerson, Jake, and Alicia to get their attention. He then points to the monitor and mouths the word, "Watch." They all divert their attention to the monitor. Edgar places his hand over a large button on the DNALYM, takes a deep breath, and then presses the button. Kristen's body tightens up.
Oh!
Please, just relax and let things flow, Kristen.
Her body becomes relaxed again. Monitor. Static appears on the screen. Back to laboratory. Edgar rubs his hands together in anticipation. Several seconds pass with no change on the screen.
Come on. Come on.
Alicia takes hold of Jake's arm. Monitor. Images begin to appear on the screen. As the images become more clear, it looks like a view from inside a bubble with membranes around it. Fluid is moving all around it. Back to laboratory.
What is that?
He steps closer to the monitor and rubs his hands together more briskly. Monitor. Slowly, the images begin to dissipate, and then the screen changes back to static. Back to laboratory.
What? Nothing more?
Dr. Emerson puts his hand on Edgar's shoulder to comfort him. Edgar looks at him and then faces downward, shaking his head.
No!
Sir, shall we remove her from the apparatus?
Without looking up, Edgar nods his head. He begrudgingly makes his way to the keyboard and enters some data. The head apparatus slowly raises up.
Whoa! What was I looking at?
It was just a psychological exam.
How did I do?
Everything checked out fine and you're in perfect health.
She removes the restraints from Kristen, who slowly stands up a little unstable. Alexina takes her by the arm.
Let's get you home. I have an envelope for you upstairs and we'll call you a cab.
As they walk toward the door of the lab, Kristen slows down and turns around to acknowledge the others.
Goodbye, y'all.
Edgar does not move, but the others wave to her. Alexina and Kristen exit the room.
I don't understand.
Sir, it's about dinner time. Let us consume some food and digest what just transpired. I am certain there is an answer. That is why you brought us here, correct? For intellectual collaboration.
Yes, this is good timing. We have time to clean up and I've made 7:30 reservations at O'Neill's.
Edgar lifts up his head and forces a smile.
Yes. Good plan.
Interior, O'Neill's restaurant, night. The five of them are sitting around a circular table with drinks in front of them awaiting their food.
I just don't understand. I've tested and tested it, and it should have worked.
The food is now delivered to the table. They begin to eat.
Is it possible that it just won't work on all subjects?
All beings have consciousness, and the process by which it is filtered via the DNALYM is sound. I've conducted years of research, and have performed a multitude of tests. It should engage the information for all humans with no exception.
A few moments pass.
Dr. Graves, in your book, you wrote an entire chapter on susceptibility. If I recall correctly, you speculate that the discovery of past lives for each individual could be vastly different based on how many lives were actually lived. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I also found it to be fascinating to learn that in this life, there are those who may hold deeper wisdom than others. You wrote that could be the result of experiences from multiple past lives. That would be in contrast to those who, live on a more simple plane. They would have only lived a few past lives.
Edgar sits up straight.
Yes?
Well, in the case of Kristen, how shall I say? It would appear from my observations that she currently lives on quite a simpler plane.
Yes, Alicia, I believe I understand where you are going with this, if I may.
Alicia smiles and nods.
Edgar, let's discuss what we saw on the monitor.
Mostly static. Then I recall fluid surrounding a sphere.
It was like we were looking outward from inside the sphere. And there were squiggly lines on the surface. I want to say that they looked like membranes.
Forgive me. I am not following.
I think what we were looking at was the inside of her mother's womb.
Edgar looks taken aback, and then his eyes light up.
Oh my.
And perhaps that is the only past prior to birth for Kristen, because she is,
I'll say it. Brand new.
They all laugh profusely for a couple of minutes. As the laughing dies down, Edgar takes out a handkerchief and wipes below his eyes from tears of laughter.
Oh my. I knew it was the right decision bringing you all onto this. Alicia, brilliant observation.
It all came from your book, sir.
Jake takes Alicia's hand under the table. She smiles at him. Dr. Emerson and Alexina's eyes lock. This time, she's the one that diverts her eyes.
Waiter, another bottle of wine, please.